Chapter 1 Dreams and Nightmares. In early 1975, more and more rockets flare through homes in Phnom Penh. One blows apart a preschool, killing and injuring dozens of children. At night, I can hear other sounds, like the hum of engines. I can hear them closing in. It is the last few weeks before the fall of Phnom Penh. The once glittering capital of Cambodia is under tight siege by Khmer Rouge communists. Another rocket splashes through and barely misses us. I hear the noise of shattered rock rattling over my roof. My husband, Vannath, is a physician and a major in the Khmer Republic Army under Marshal Lon Nol's regime. We have one child, a son, Vannath, who is 8 years old. Rockets also fall near my son's school, Le Petit Lycée Descartes, forcing the school to close its doors for safety. The Vietnam War had spilled over into Cambodia between the late 1960s and 1975. During that time, I lost a cousin in his early 20s, a soldier with the Khmer Republic. He was fighting alongside American and South Vietnamese troops against the North Vietnamese and Khmer Rouge armies. During heavy fighting, he was hit by a bomb, piercing his body all over with shrapnel. In the military hospital Moni Vong in Phnom Penh, they removed one of his legs. When I visited him, he tried to smile, even though he was critically ill and in extreme pain. 2 days later, he died. I also lost my uncle, Hon Sambon, during that time. He was a major in the M113 tank battalion, and while commanding his troops, his tank was hit by rockets. During the evenings, along with other residents of Phnom Penh, we watched the flares that the Khmer Republican Army uses to light up the battlefields. I hear that people are trying to escape the fighting by boat while holding their babies high overhead as a sign that they are civilians. Still, some boats are hit and sink in the river. Despite all the hardships of war we suffer in the city, people from the war zones in the countryside flock to Phnom Penh to seek refuge. The city's population swells from 800,000 to more than 2 million in 1975. At the National Treasury where I work, we often tell each other funny stories about displaced people. We are amused to hear about one displaced person who stole pig food to eat and was arrested by the police. While wealth still tends to insulate me from a reality, one of my colleagues whispers to me that the Khmer Rouge will ultimately evacuate the entire population of Phnom Penh. I reply vehemently that that would not be possible. Cambodia, I tell her, is ruled by law. We have foreign embassies, and based on contemporary history, nobody has done that before. I am still in my comfortable golden cocoon. Even so, I am terrorized by the nightly roar of rockets. One morning, the sky is clear, but suddenly, out of the blue, lightning strikes at the top of the big stupa at Wat Phnom that symbolizes the birth of Phnom Penh city. It destroys a couple of meters of the tip of the stupa, and I consider it a premonition that something bad will happen to the city. One night, a woman appears to me in a dream. I see that we are alone on the beach, while somehow I see myself clinging to her neck in the ocean, not knowing how to swim. Confidently, the woman swims in a turbulent ocean along a barbed wire fence. I am frightened of being injured and drowned, and I keep telling her that I do not know how to swim. The woman continues swimming confidently and saying, "It is okay, it is okay." Because of the way she says this, it seems that she is barely addressing me, or that she does not even care about how scared I am. Finally, after a long time, we reach the other side of the ocean. In the dream, I see myself lie down on the sand, disoriented and short of breath. Then, the woman simply vanishes. The dream was so vivid that even after awakening from it, in my own bed, I feel physically and emotionally exhausted from the experience for a couple of weeks. I interpret various meanings of the dream. Maybe I will cross the ocean. Maybe I will get a scholarship to study in France and fly across the ocean. Or maybe after a major event, I will survive. Evacuation. On 17 April 1975, when the Khmer Rouge takes power, we believe that the war will end and we will have peace. We hang white pieces of clothes symbolizing peace at last and surrender to the winner. But there is a trashing on the radio, and suddenly I hear the voices of Khmer Rouge communists. They are shouting that they are the winners and that this city is now theirs. I listen, greatly shocked. One of my friends who lived on the other side of Phnom Penh phones to tell me that the Khmer Rouge has ordered all citizens to leave the city. The week before, this friend's husband, along with his father, who was the former chief of state, had grabbed their children in the chaos of the bombing and managed to get spaces for them on a US military helicopter that was evacuating high-level officials and close family. She was shocked and depressed to find that this had happened while she was at work, with no time for her husband to communicate with her. But now that the Khmer Rouge is chasing everyone from their homes, she is relieved to know that her children are out of the country and safe with her husband. The next day, 18 April 1975, I am no longer able to communicate with my friend, as our phone has been cut off. I am at my parents' home for the Khmer New Year holiday when my younger brother, Ma Vannath, runs into the house with word that the Khmer Rouge has begun forcing everyone out of their homes. I want to believe that maybe it is still safe in our neighborhood. In the chaos, people start looting everything they can from Psa Thmei market. Some people carry guns, while the Khmer Rouge soldiers tell them to drop them, even shooting a person right in front of our home. Except for the team leaders and officers, most of the Khmer Rouge soldiers are young men and women from rural areas. From their facial expressions, it seems this is their first time in Phnom Penh. At night, around 1,000 heavily armed Khmer Rouge soldiers, dressed in black, gather together around Psa Thmei market, where we live. The only source of information available to us is the Voice of America radio. We listen to the Voice of America with apprehension to find out what would happen next. On 19 April 1975, our neighbors start to leave their homes one by one. My parents decide to leave and go to their in-laws' house behind the royal palace. These in-laws, Pok Thien and his wife Son Naret, have a daughter, Pok Mala TV, married to Professor Chuan Chuan, medical doctor, the Khmer Rouge Minister of Health. My parents hoped that perhaps, because of their family connection, we would not be forced to leave. Pok Thien and his wife Son Naret asked some passing Khmer Rouge soldiers to give a letter to Minister Chuan Chuan and his wife Mala, telling them that their parents are waiting for them and hoping they would see them soon. The soldiers do not care and ignore the parents. The situation becomes chaotic. At night, we sleep on the floor to avoid being hit by bullets from firefights. All night long, we hear the sounds of bomb and bullets, shooting and blasting. The fighting is between small resistance groups against the Khmer Rouge military. It sounds so close that I think the house has been hit and that this is the last night of my life. I sit down break with a great sense of relief. "Everyone out," the Khmer Rouge soldiers shout. "You are ordered to leave the city." A soldier aims a rocket at one home where someone refuses to leave, blowing the house apart. Along the road, Khmer Rouge soldiers tell us that we need to escape to the countryside for a couple of days because American planes are coming to bomb the city. So everyone hits the road. Passing along Trosop Paim Avenue in the Bang Keng Kong neighborhood, I see an orphanage for toddlers who have been abandoned by the caretakers. Some babies fall down the stairs. Some are dying from exhaustion with swollen bellies. Some are inert, and we cannot tell if they are already dead or not. People pass on by too worried for their own survival to stop and help. Through forced evacuation from Phnom Penh, hundreds of thousands of people are walking. Many little girls and boys are too short to keep an eye out for their parents. Even a couple of meters away or too far, and their heads are swallowed up in the crowd. They become lost forever. Even then, some of the wealthier people drive their cars. My family has 4 cars, which hold 28 members, from 4 years old to more than 70, including my extended family and maids to help with meals. In a few days, we remain hopeful that we will be allowed to return to the city. In one of the abandoned houses along the road where we passed the night, we smell something decomposing. Because it is so dark, we do not know what it is. The next day, we realize that we have slept near corpses. Along the road, some corpses become stuck in the riverbank. People simply push them downward while taking the water they need for bathing, cooking, and drinking. I see sick people who are not able to walk hang on to their family member's neck. Some are crying because the Khmer Rouge takes away the male head of the family. Along the Exodus roads, the maids leave us and I mechanically perform my daily activities of finding drinkable water and wood for cooking. Even though I am one among the millions, somehow I watch things happen around me just like I am watching a movie. Mentally, I am speechless, overwhelmed, shocked, and disoriented. I recall a dream that I had before the Khmer Rouge took over, where I saw myself running in stormy rain and lightning. Above my head, there were fires sparkling from the electricity cable. Fearing I would be struck by lightning and electrocution, I ran as fast as I could toward a concrete open shelter in front of me, where I stood wet and cold, waiting for the storm to die down. Soon, we come to the Basak River in Kothom district, Kandal province, about 90 kilometers south of Phnom Penh. The Khmer Rouge orders us to cross. "You do not need to take the car with you," one of them tells my father. "We will give you a receipt, and when you come back, you can have your car." We are skeptical about that, but it is nice to believe. We leave our car and get into a boat that the villagers paddle back and forth. Our small boat is overloaded with its edge about 2 inches above water. If something happens, most of us will drown. Stilt homes. On reaching the north side of the river, we march for several days. Then, under orders, we stop. We stay there for almost 1 year. Our new home is a peninsula called Pomut village in Lekdak district in the same province, a remote marshy plain of grassland that floods annually. Stilt homes become our shelters. My husband's and other men's daily routines become diving underwater, cutting the edible trees, called dam chere, into small pieces and grinding them up to use as flour for our daily meal. Living in a flooded area is difficult for newcomers like us who do not know how to swim and have no boat or equipment such as knives or axes. We have nothing to eat except the cooked masao chere flour. During the flood season, I see thousands of small fish under the house. My son and I try to use our mosquito net to catch them. We catch nothing, not even one small fish. The Lekdak region is rich with fish. At peak season, everyone, including small children, is ordered by the village chief to clean the fish. We are allowed to take home the fish heads. The village chief provides us with knives to work. My son is also cleaning fish. The live fish are too strong and the knife is too big for him to handle. Once, he cuts his finger and blood spills out. He does not complain and bravely continues his work in the rain while his finger is bleeding. I am watching the rain mix with my son's and the fish blood as it flows over my aching heart. Some people die. The Khmer Rouge, because they view people from the city as educated and corrupt, kill those with eyeglasses. For me, it comes to this. My golden cocoon is gone. At 32, a woman born into luxury falls into a sea of misery, and I do not know how to swim. Thus begins my contact with a new reality and the suffering of the people. Because of the lack of food and unsanitary conditions, my older brother, Ma Kamon, becomes very sick and loses consciousness repeatedly. I also fall ill. One afternoon, I feel extremely agitated and think that this is what people call agony, the last stage before death. I then tell myself that I need to pray before I die. I start to realize the teaching of Buddha about the impermanency of all living things and the ongoing changes beyond our control, anicca. With no resistance, I accept this law of nature about life and death. I put my hands on my heart, close my eyes, and silently pray for the mercy of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and my parents. After a while, my mind becomes serene, my heartbeat returns to normal, and little by little, I feel better. I am still too weak to sit or walk. I lie down on a mat and my mind drifts away. Memories of the good old days flash back to me. I remember my great-grandmother, Bua, from my mother's side, my grandmother, Ki Tut, from my father's side, and my childhood memories with nostalgia.